Hi class. So the purpose of this video is to introduce to you your final project for your energy unit. And I'm very, very excited about this. So remember, so far in the energy unit, you've learned about how cells get things in and out of the cell. You've learned about cellular respiration, fermentation, and aerobic, and you just finished learning about photosynthesis. And you especially learned how plants, especially radish seeds, undergo both photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So we're going to take all these ideas about energy and we're going to take it one step further, and I'm really going to challenge you over the next 8 or 10 days. And so this project is called It's Not Easy Being Green Algae. So just to remind you of our overall unit question that we started the unit with about a month ago was, where does all of our food come from and what do cells do with this food to get energy from it? And I feel like we've done a fairly good job of answering that question. So again, we're going to take it one step further, and this final project is going to ask, how can you alter the environment of algae in order to optimize its growth and quality so that it can be used as a potential fuel source? So we're going to start to talk about alternative energy, not just using fossil fuels to power our factories and our cars, but looking and researching further into alternative fuels and potentially using some algae for that purpose. So you are responsible for 3 final products with your group. The first and the biggest thing is this growing chamber, and I've already introduced this to you, the idea that you're going to be engineering a growing chamber from various materials in order to best grow some quality algae. Then you're going to write a technical lab report like engineers have to do every day of your results of your chamber. And lastly, and I hope this will be fun for you, you're going to create an infomercial that both shares the results of your growth chamber as well as informs the public about the benefits of algae as a biofuel, as an alternative energy source. So a lot going on over the next couple days. So you might be asking yourself, how am I going to build an algae growing chamber? I don't know anything about algae. I don't know anything about a chamber of any kind. I'm pretty intimidated by this. That might be what you're thinking. Well, I have some good news for you. You are going to be able to do this, and you're going to be able to do it with your group through a process called the engineering design process. Now, if any of you are in the engineering course, you've probably already heard of this, but I'm going to explain what the engineering design process is to you right now. So the engineering design process is not at all like the scientific method, right? The scientific method is fairly linear. You set up your experiment, you have your controls and your variables, you run your experiment, you get your data, and then you're done. Well, this is very circular, so you're never really done with the engineering design process. You constantly go back to revise and make your product better. But you always start off with asking, what's the problem? And you research, what have others done to solve this problem? And what sort of constraints am I facing in order to solve this problem? Then you start to brainstorm. This is where you're creative. How can I solve this problem? Brainstorm ideas and choose the best one. Once you've chosen the best one, then you start to really hunker down and you plan. You draw a sketch, you draw a diagram, you make a list of all the materials and the time frame that you need to complete this. Then you actually create it, okay? So you test it. You build your prototype, if you will. You test your prototype to see if it's going to solve the problem. Then you see maybe it solves it, maybe it doesn't, but you can always make it better. So then you improve your design and you test it and test it again. So following these 5 steps with your group, I really am confident that you are going to be able to design a good algae growing chamber. You might be thinking, who uses the engineering design process? Everybody who needs to make a product or a system is going to go through this iterative, this circular engineering design process. It's for something even as simple as your coffee mug, okay? They had to go through what was the best size, where should the handle be, how big should the handle be, what sort of materials are best for insulating that hot coffee, what sort of shape should the mouthpiece be, how big should it be? Same ideas with the shopping cart. 2 very simple ideas that had to undergo the engineering design process. And the engineering design process is used for even much more complex problems, such as if somebody had face cancer in their bones or their skin, and they had to re-engineer somebody's facial bones. Well, you'd have to undergo the engineering design process to create bones that best fit that person's face. So initially, what I would like for you to do as your first assignment is to complete the following 3 things in your notes. First, research the growth requirements for the green algae you'll be using, and it's called chlorella. That will help you to design your chamber. Second, start to think about alternative fuel. So answer these questions in your notes. What is alternative fuel? Why do we need it? And what are some examples? And then lastly, I want you to begin brainstorming your chamber. I want you to make a sketch of this growing chamber in your notes that you're going to bring to your group the next time we meet, and you're going to share, and then you're going to pick the best one and sort of go with that and sketch that out. So what you need in order to brainstorm this sketch is a list of materials, and that's going to be on the next slide. So this is what I would like to see in your notes the next time that we meet. And here is the list of materials. So you have plenty to choose from, so think about what you're going to do to brainstorm this algae growing chamber.